Last month, I launched my first app, and in the first week only, we reached 500 users. In the first 20 days, we reached 1,000 users, attracting all of these people organically with 0 penny spent on Google Ads or on any ads. And today, I'm going to be explaining you the key methods I used to get all of this traction for my startup completely organically. And before we move into that, let me explain you what I've been doing. I've always been interested by the startup ecosystem, and I wanted to create my startup, but for some reason, first thing first, 99% of startups fail. And the second reason is that a lot of accelerators and incubators, for example, Techstars or Y Combinator, usually only accept startups and projects that have two main things. First, a really great traction and a really great team, since they are the foundation of the startup ecosystem. And these programs that mentor and provide guidance for startup ecosystems and help them grow don't help all the other 99% of people who do not have that yet. This is why 2 years ago I decided to work on an app that helps people find co-founders, and we called it OnlyFounders. It's basically like a Tinder or like a Hinge, but for finding like-minded business partners, because a team is the foundation of every successful app. Now, we started having the idea roughly about 2 years ago, but we didn't start working on it until later on, and only last month we launched the app. My journey started exactly 3 years ago when I moved into London to start a startup and to follow my dreams. Now, at that time, I didn't have an idea yet, but I started going to networking events. In roughly 3 years, we've been to more than 200 networking events, connecting with a lot of people on a deep level, making really great connections and connecting with a lot of event organizers, which we'll see later would help us a lot. Event organizers, people in every kind of sector, posting a lot of things on LinkedIn. I used to think that LinkedIn is kind of cringe, but at some point, that helped a lot, and we'll talk about it a little bit later. So roughly in 3 years, we had around 3,900 followers on LinkedIn, completely organically, and roughly about 1,000 connections that I deeply know and connect with. Now, obviously, not all of them are super my friends, but I know them pretty well and I could engage a conversation. I remember them and they remember me. And memorability is a really important thing. Roughly 2 years ago, when I had the idea of working on OnlyFounders, I started posting targeted posts on LinkedIn. I started making a whole personal branding and posting systematically once, twice, 3 times, sometimes 5 times a week on LinkedIn, really simple posts, and building my personal brand around that. I created a TikTok account, an Instagram account, although I still don't have any development, any business model or anything concrete yet. I was just still in the ideation process, and this is one of the things that is really important in the startup ecosystem. A lot of people work a lot on the back end, and once their product is ready, they want to advertise it and no one knows about that. And they don't have any clients because no one knows that they've been building on it. So all of the time that you spend on the back end, it would be really helpful that you document your journey and at least post it on LinkedIn, for example, which is really underrated, and we'll still talk about that a little bit later. But the key thing that I didn't have is that I didn't really have a call to action, and it was only after watching one of the podcasts of The Diary of a CEO with Daniel Priestley and Stephen Bollitt that I discovered the power of having a waitlist, which seemed to be a lifesaver for us. Now, at that point, we started having quite some followers on LinkedIn, I think 1,500, 2,000, and 7 months before launching our app, we put a waitlist and a landing page so that we gather more people and we'll retarget them and get their emails and their phone numbers, and also some stats about how they like OnlyFounders, which honestly have been super helpful because for our app, we need to have users. Our value is not in the service where we sell you something or a product. Our value is in the connection, as if you find like-minded business partners or people who you can create startups with. So we needed to have a lot of users once we launched the app. Now, roughly until we launched the app, we had around 1,100 people on the waitlist. Although after that, we only reached about 30 or 40% of these who joined the app because some people do not check their emails. But that was really helpful, specifically for the beginning, the first week, where we got a lot of users really quickly onto the app. We were also able to fidelize the community and send them a lot of things on the newsletter. All of these strategies have been really crucial in building that personal brand. They help you get the first 100, 200, 300 users. But once we launched the app, that was completely a different story. salary. We had to completely do other stuff to maintain our growth and to get more people. Because just sending the emails on the newsletter didn't take much until we got the maximum of 30 to 40% of people who view the email and join the app. Now, before we move on to the section of after launching the app, I want you to watch this quick video by Sam Altman, which is a founder of ChatGPT, who explains how you should get your first 100 users. And this video is really crucial because I think we watched it 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 times, and it's actually pretty accurate.
In terms of getting those users, everyone thinks that they're just going to put up this website, tell one person about it, and it's going to take off like wildfire. That's not what usually happens. So there are 4 common strategies to get your first 100 users. I'm going to go through them in order of roughly best to worst. You can email people you already know, and you can ask them to be your customers. You can call in all the favors with anyone you can think of, someone you took a random class with, someone you were friends with in high school. You should actually, if it's a paid product, you should actually charge. This is important. Remember, people are going to be inclined to do you favors. They're going to be too nice in what they tell you. So if it's a paid product, charge them. Another strategy is to research people that you think might use your product, and then email them or whatever and ask them to try it. Conversion rates here are low, maybe 2, 3%, so you'll have to do this to more. But you can send targeted emails and say, hey, I just made this new product. I'd really appreciate if you would try it out. Most people want to be helpful. They probably will. You can do social media, Hacker News, forums, press, whatever. If this is going to be your growth strategy, you need to figure out a way for it to be ongoing, not a one big pop and then go away. Most people who do this find that it works once. Then they call up the journalist and say, will you write about me again? And the journalist says, anything changed? No, but I really need users. Will you please write? The journalist still says no. Airbnb is an example of a company that made this work as an ongoing process. And they would do the craziest things. They just kept coming up with press stunt after press stunt. They would mail journalists giant boxes of cereal so they got on their desk. And they were able to get it to keep going. But that's hard. And finally, the laziest and least impressive thing you can do is to just buy ads on Facebook or Google and point people to your website. This is not what I recommend. I don't know of any startup that's gotten big starting this way. I include it because it's the idea that most people try.
The first day that our app launched, it was actually really late at 7 p.m. and it was only accepted on the App Store. Google took 2 more weeks to accept the app for some reason. So we did a soft launch where we posted 1 or 2 LinkedIn posts. No, actually not LinkedIn posts. We posted some stuff on our stories and some stuff on private groups. And a little bit on our newsletter. And by the end of the day, we had, I remember, 100 users in the first night of launching our app. In the following days, we were texting everyone, our friends, our family, everyone in our network to tell them about the launch of our app. Because we needed kind of some credibility and some users in it so that there's good matchmaking and so that people can see that there's profiles in it as well. We also needed people to review the app so that its score on the Google Play or on the App Store, because Google Play wasn't published yet, would grow and the algorithm of the App Store would publish more the app and would show it more. Additionally, we were doing a lot of LinkedIn outreach. And here's one thing that is completely underrated. Everyone on LinkedIn in the messages receives normal basic sales messages of hello, I'm working on this and this is my app and whatever. But the one thing that we do not see a lot is sending a personalized video. So for the first day, we actually created a personalized video for more than 200 or 300 people. Completely personalized, opening the chat and just sending a video that would be personalized to that person. And that helped us literally get way more conversions out of these people. Additionally, on LinkedIn, you find directly our target market, people who are interested in starting businesses. We also have been connecting with people who follow Stephen Bartlett or Alex Hormozy and people who are interested in the business concept and text them directly about our app. We want early stage founders who are passionate about starting a business, people who want to be entrepreneurs, but that would actually go in and do their job. People who are motivated to start a business but do not have the right connections yet to do it. And that's exactly what we found on LinkedIn. But there's actually a limit to it because all of this is manual work. And again, in the early stages, we do not have any money that we want to spend on ads. Our paying features are still till now not available, so everything on the app is completely free. So it doesn't make sense to create Google ads or YouTube ads or anything like that. We cannot afford it. During the 1 year before our launch and just after our launch, we started doing targeted LinkedIn personal branding posts who actually solve the solution that we're actually selling. So for example, for instance, we help and share tips about how to find a co-founder. We post a lot of things on LinkedIn about that. And here's the one thing that people do not know about LinkedIn, and this is why this is actually completely underrated. LinkedIn has more than 310 million active users, and 1% only of these active users post on LinkedIn. Only 3 million people post on LinkedIn, which means that we have a big pool of a social media with not so much of a competition. And here's the second thing: a lot of the social media right now, like Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, are all made out of videos and stories and really difficult editings, while LinkedIn is still mostly based on writing posts. So you can write way more posts, you can write way more stories and write 5, 6, 7, 10 posts in 1 hour, 2 hours, and schedule them for weeks or days after, which is way easier to create content and share it and reach people who are actually interested in the business aspect. Now, doing this video is probably gonna take me 5, 6, 7, 8 hours because I do not have editors for that. But LinkedIn is definitely a gold mine, and building your personal brand is actually a must, not a luxury anymore. In this day and age, we see startups that are led by founders, by personal branding such as Alex Hormozi, Stephen Ballett. We even see Mark Zuckerberg, how he transformed from being this completely geek, introverted person, antisocial, to a completely new different person with different oversized clothes, curly long hair, and way more social interactions, which is completely a big reshape in the personal branding of the company. And remember, people follow people, not brands. But here's the thing: a lot of people in the early stage of the startup would completely give up at its beginnings. But you have to remember this one key thing. Mr. Beast's channel, who now has more than 355 million followers on YouTube, it took 4 years to reach the first 1,000 users. But it only took 7 years to reach the first million users. And now in January 2025 only, it got more than 2.2 million new subscribers. And here's the thing that people do not see. You give up really at the beginning, at the early stage of things, but sometimes you have to understand the compounding effect of things and the fact that it's exponential. It would take 5, 6, 2, 3, 4 years for the thing to be having 0 views or 0 to no views. Probably this video is gonna have 300 views at the end of the day, but at some point, if you keep showing up every day and keep staying consistent and keep posting, it would end up growing. My LinkedIn posts still make 30, 40 likes. Sometimes it does 160, but that's my max. This is why we are building a community. We are trying to film TikToks, vlogs, and stuff like this, YouTube videos, to build a community of really passionate individuals who want to make a change, learn about entrepreneurship, and learn about the due diligence process and finding the right co-founders and the right connections. Because as you may know, your network is your net worth. But now here's the one thing that completely messed around my productivity for years. And I want you to stick around for this one because it's a really important one. In this day and age, social media have been completely messed up by seeing creators such as Alex Hormozi, Iman Ghazi, Andrew Tate, and more. Why? Because these are really successful entrepreneurs who have really high production levels. They have really great editors, really great scripts, and every video of theirs draws a standard in the quality of good videos. Specifically Iman Ghazi's editing style, for example. But here's where the trick comes. At some point, I really love editing, but I'm not a really great editor. So I cannot reproduce the videos of Iman Ghazi, who he pays someone to do. Which, as a founder, I do not have time to overthink these videos and do them really perfectly. This is why at some point I chose to do normal and authentic videos like this one, talking directly and documenting my journey rather than over-perfectioning all of these videos. Because remember, doubt kills more dreams than failure ever will. And sometimes consistency with a certain level of quality in the content is more important than a really high production video that you cannot afford doing. Because as a founder, you still have way more things to do. And this was a thing that I've been always tricked in. I wanted to compete in quality with people with way more resources than myself. And this is exactly why I'm sharing with you right now a realistic journey of an early stage startup. No filters, everything that is happening, whether I succeed or I lose. And as you may see from a lot of other vlogs, I have exactly 1 year to make my startup work, or I'll be deported from the country. Moving on to one of the last points, and this one is a really underrated one. The reason why we got the first 500 users in the first week is because we reach out to a lot of communities, and specifically at that stage to university groups. These groups were completely crucial in our growth. There were small communities of either entrepreneurs, events that we've been to, or different groups of universities. We shared a small message about our soft launch, and we shared it as friends. We know these people directly, not all of them, but we're in a small community. This helped us grow a lot, and additionally we've had a lot of word to mouth working in there, a lot of people who proposed to help us in that area. We talked earlier about the importance of having really close connections. We told you that we've been to more than 200 networking events, and the good way of networking is that you go with an aspect of helping people, not asking them for help. So we've been with a mindset of helping people. There is one guy, for example, that is called Vasily Alex. Vasily, if you watch this, I don't know how to pronounce your name, which is managing London's largest demo day and one of the biggest communities of hosting events. And we've become really good friends with him and with other event organizers and random people in the startup ecosystem. And one day he proposed to us to share OnlyFounders on his newsletter, which got more than 8,000 followers. Now, he didn't do this yet. This would happen maybe next week or the week after, but that would help us a lot because it's literally our target market. We've helped people, and sometimes they just come around and they propose more help on themselves without asking anything. And this leads us to also the last point, which is that we went to a lot of podcasts, hosted a lot of keynotes at events. One of our keynotes is about how to help people find co-founders, and we partnered with a lot of networking events, went to universities where we filmed podcasts, and all of these people just started in the beginning by us helping them with something, and they proposed something to help us, and with that sense helping us and our community grow even further. Now, if you see this video, you may say that this is a really long trajectory and this takes way too much time. But at the essence of it, you're not here doing day trading. You're here to build a startup. I believe that it's not about really fast growth. It's about doing small steps every day and creating genuine relationships that at some point would compound and grow. And if you want to hear more about our keynote about how to help people find co-founders, click on the video here or here to know about how to find the right co-founders and doing the right due diligence before committing in that relationship. If you like this and want more tips on how to find co-founders and how to grow, follow me or download OnlyFounders app. This was Monta, and see you in the next video.